Good evening, Rambler fans. I'm Madeline Kenny.
And I'm Jake Mazanke. Welcome to this week's edition of the Rambler Sports Locker. We sure have a great show planned for you today.
Yes we do, Jake. So with March Madness coming up, who do you have winning it all?
I picked Florida. I really like the way they played in the SEC, and although they gave me a little bit of a scare today, I still got them winning it all. What about you?
I'm going to have to stick with my roots and go with Nebraska, you know. I got Tim Miles. He's doing work with that program and that team, and I bleed Husker Red, so Nebraska.
Nebraska? Isn't the third biggest city in Nebraska the football stadium when they play in the home games on Saturdays?
Yes it is, Jacob.
Speaking of home games, Loyola's own men's volleyball team currently 2 games into a 5-game stretch at Gentile Arena. They beat George Mason in straight sets last Thursday to keep their #1 ranking for the 7th straight week. The Ramblers were led by a strong performance from sophomore Thomas Jeske, who finished with a double-double of 10 kills and 10 digs. The men were looking to continue their dominant performance on Tuesday night against the 10th-seeded Lewis University. The Ramblers put their #1 ranking on the line against Lewis Flyers on Thursday. The Ramblers fell 1-0 after a big block by the Flyers. It was the first time Loyola has lost a set in almost a month. But it was smooth sailing for Loyola after the setback. This Cody Caldwell kill gave the Ramblers a 3-1 win. Caldwell finished with a game-high 21 kills.
Joe Smalzer came up big once again for the Ramblers in that match, but with the school coming to a close, that also means a saying goodbye to our 5th-year senior in just a few short months. Jillian Schwartz is taking a look back and a look at what's next for the man they call Rambler Joe.
He's a 5th-year legend, the undisputed leader of the top-ranked men's volleyball team in the nation. He is Joe Smalzer.
Excuse me. And he has his team exactly where they want to be.
It's amazing to see that the work that we put in this whole season and last season and over the summer is finally paying off. All the work in the weight room, all the work in the classroom, and all the work in the gym is we're finally reaping the benefits of it. We came out and beat 2 of the 3 California teams that we played first off, and I think that kind of set the pace for the whole season.
Smalzer's growth over the years has played a big role in the team's success, but it's his intangibles that he feels has made the difference as a team leader.
I think my vocal game has kind of picked up a little bit. In the past, I've kind of been kind of shelled sometimes when I play, but I've learned that I have my teammates to fall back on, and it's just been a blast seeing how that works.
In addition to becoming more open with his teammates, Smalzer has developed a special relationship with his coaches.
This past year, it got to the point where Chris, our assistant coach, said, "You could call me Chris. I played with you for 2 years, so you don't have to call me coach." It's kind of funny seeing, as far as how I interact with them.
As a fitting culmination of his career, Smalzer will have the chance to play his final game as a Rambler on his home floor in the Final Four, and ultimately, national championship.
The stars are aligning. We put in the bid, got the Final Four. Now we just got to play like we did last year. We've been playing this whole season, and everything will be an awesome bittersweet ending.
Knowing that his volleyball days are eventually going to end, he has already started planning for the future.
Right now I'm doing the 5-year MBA program, so I'll graduate in May with my master's, and I do plan on continuing to play volleyball after college professionally overseas somewhere.
Smalzer had a long and successful career as a Rambler, but just like all good things, it must come to an end. For the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Jillian Schwartz.
Smalzer is more than impressive on his own, but we can't forget that he's just one part of a #1 team in the nation. You can catch Smalzer and the Ramblers in action tomorrow night as they host the number 14 Penn State Nittany Lions at 7 p.m. It'll be 90s night at Gentile Arena, so don't forget to pack your Pokemon cards and Beanie Babies.
Smalzer isn't the only Rambler who deserves a limelight lately. Olivia Clark was recently named Loyola's Female Athlete of the Month for February. Clark was a member of the 4x800 meter team and the distance medley relay teams that set new school records last month. She ran a 4:49 mile in the GVSU Big Meet, sliding her into 2nd place at Loyola's all-time list for the indoor mile. She went on to win both the mile and the 3K at conference. Sam Penzenstadler was named Loyola's Male Athlete for the Month. Penzenstadler rewrote the Missouri Valley History Conference record books by running a 3:58 mile in the Mayo Invitational at Notre Dame. He just missed the school record previously set by Tom O'Hara back in 1963 by only 2 seconds. He is the third athlete at Loyola to run the sub-4 mile.
Pezin Sandler isn't the only one making waves in Missouri Valley. He's just doing it on a national scale as well. He was heavily rewarded for his showing at the NCAA Indoor National Championship in Albuquerque, New Mexico last Friday and Saturday. Pezin Sandler's mile time was just under 4 minutes and 5 seconds in prelims, earned him a spot in the finals, where he was posted an even better time of 4 minutes, 4 seconds, and 77 hundredths. That mark was good enough for 7th place in the nation for the men's mile. As a result, he became the 4th member of the Loyola track and field team to earn first-team All-American honors in the past 3 years. The Ramblers look to continue their success this weekend as they begin their outdoor season at Butler Invite.
Though the odds of completing a perfect March Madness bracket are astronomically low, it doesn't stop nearly everyone from trying.
Even Barack Obama has filled out one, and let's just say his political choices are better than his basketball ones. Bridget Murphy asked a few of Loyola's familiar faces about their picks in this year's NCAA men's basketball tournament.
Even in the madness of March, I was able to sit down with Lou Wolf to talk about his bracket.
Hello, Lou. So we were wondering if you could tell us some of your predictions for March Madness this year. So tell us, who do you have in your Final Four? Wichita State, okay. Creighton, all right, good choice. Florida. Michigan State. And who do you have winning the whole thing? You heard it here first. Lou Wolf has Loyola winning March Madness. And he is excited.
And while Lou celebrated, we were able to catch up with RSL regular Britt Tamlin to hear his predictions.
I am an expert on this topic. My pick in the South would have to be Western Michigan. In the West, Arizona has a nice climate. There's a good man who plays at Creighton. Oregon.
In the Midwest?
Easy. Cal Poly.
In the East?
Well, since I'm an American, Providence sounds very patriotic, and yet so does Delaware.
So who did you have as your winner?
I like that Cal Poly is 2 words, not just one. I also like that Delaware is a place.
But you chose?
Oregon. Because when the big duck man is happy, I'm happy.
With Lou still dancing, for the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Bridget Murphy.
Brick says that those sunglasses he was wearing are his bracket-picking glasses and believes they would have helped him choose the perfect bracket.
But clearly his sunglasses need some adjusting because he does not have Wichita State in his top 4. With more on the Shockers, let's hear from Alex Whitler in this week's MVC Top 3.
Thanks, Jake. Speaking of March Madness, let's take a moment to take a look at this team everyone's watching and their best players. Just a couple weeks ago, the Wichita State Shockers took home the MVC Arch Madness trophy, but the players have been ripping the court for quite some time. Let's start out the countdown with number 23. And no, it's not MJ, it's Chicago native Fred Van Vliet. The sophomore anchors the ship for the Shockers, leading the team with over 5 assists per game. The Missouri Valley Player of the Year doesn't just dish the love, he also averages 12 points a contest. Moving on to the second Shocker, another sophomore, Ron Baker. This small-town boy from Scott City, Kansas has the shooter's touch from beyond the arc. He leads the team with over 63 pointers made on the season, making quite an impact on this year's team. And finally, the #1 Wichita State player is, drumroll please, Cleanthony Early. No shocker here, and no pun intended, Early has led the team from victory to victory. And let's face it, the 6'8" senior averages 15 points per game and has been named the MVC preseason player of the year. He was also named to the Valley First team, and not to mention, he placed second on our MVC top 3 dunks last week. To top it all off, he's got a great personality too.
I'm kind of that firecracker, that heartbeat, you know, that's trying to just always be excited, always be hyped, at the same time, always smiling.
And he's kept Wichita State fans smiling as well. That's it for this week's MVC Top 3. I'm Alex Whitler. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Alex. Staying on the hardwood, Loyola's women's team took on Indiana State last Friday in the second round of the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. If that sounds familiar, that's because the Sycamores are the exact same team that ended Loyola's men's team run in the tournament. Senior Troy Hambrick continued her domination of the Valley, scoring a game-high 21 points and adding 14 rebounds. The Sycamores led with 8 minutes to go, just before Loyola's own Bailey Farley sank back-to-back threes, pulling the Ramblers ahead 23-21. Tied at 29 at the half, Indiana came out of the locker room fired up, scoring 9 out of 11 points to open their lead 38-31. Hambrick and freshman Kate Sohn keyed a run to get Loyola within 2, but the Sycamores responded late with a 7-0 run of their own, sending them to a 61-52 victory. Hambrick ended her illustrious career in 15th place on Loyola's all-time scoring list with 1,158 career points.
Come rain or shine, the Loyola softball team has fought the elements to turn what has been so far a rocky season into a stellar one. Lauren Smith has more on how they've been able to change through their fortunes.
LA CSUN Invitational last week, the Loyola softball team went through its share of victories and defeats, winning 3 out of the total 5 games in sunny California. But despite these defeats, Loyola was able to become a stronger team.
We started off a little bit rocky. We ended up meshing really well in California. We came together, we played really good competition, and I think we were able to step up our game that way. So we played UCLA and UC Riverside and Cal, and we did really good against them. So as long as we take those games into conference, we'll be okay.
The Ramblers did not start the year off as well as they would have liked, but nonetheless, there is still always room for improvement.
I think as a team, we want to improve on our consistency. We have a lot of games where we have people doing amazing, hitting home runs and getting amazing on defense, and then we have people that are struggling, and we need to find this common ground where everyone together is on, everyone's doing well.
Maybe with a little help from pre-game rituals, keeping those superstitions in check, and with a little kindness from Mother Nature, the Lady Ramblers will be on their A game.
Individually, I had a superstition last year. I would eat a yogurt before every single game, and every time I didn't, I would go 0-4, so the whole team knew to get me my yogurt.
That we play hockey, but I have a certain playlist I listen to before I pitch, and we have to get our eye black because it's part of the uniform. Even if we're inside, the eye black is part of the uniform.
Though the Ramblers' last game against IPFW has been canceled due to the weather, the Ramblers will keep on fighting hard for the rest of the season. I'm Lauren Smith, reporting for the Rambler Sports Locker.
During the UCLA CSUN Invitational over spring break, the softball team went through its shares of victories and defeats, winning 3 out of a total of 5 games in sunny California. But this past weekend, Loyola softball struck out at Wichita State, losing in a series 2-1. Loyola started out strong during their first of 2 games last Saturday, getting their first victory in the Missouri Valley Conference. With the help of Lauren Moore and Alyssa Minucci, both hitting home runs, and Olivia Bell slamming 2 triples and a single, led to the Ramblers' victory over the Shockers 5-1. Later that day, the Shockers led early in the first inning, only to lose that lead in the second 4-1 when the Ramblers got rolling. With Olivia Bell, Bree Pasquale, and Annie Korth all receiving walks, Jessica Balzano had a hit up the middle to send all 3 home. Ramblers ended the inning with Lauren Moore scoring 1 more time. At the bottom of the next inning, because of 2 Rambler errors in the outfield, Wichita State took the lead 5-4. After a 5-hour rain delay, the Ramblers lost even more momentum, leading them to lose 8-7. The Ramblers eventually fell in the series again on Sunday, losing to the Shockers 6-5. The Ramblers were supposed to play at IPFW yesterday, but the game was canceled because of an overwhelming snowfall in Fort Wayne, Indiana. No makeup game has been scheduled at this time. The Ramblers will play next at home this weekend against Missouri State.
Here in Chicago, we all know the impact that Michael Jordan has had in our city. Our Nader Issa has had one of his more memorable moments in This Week in History.
On March 18, 1995, NBA Hall of Famer Michael Jordan made his return to the NBA by releasing a now famous press release that simply read, "I'm back." Jordan, returning from his 2-year experiment in minor league baseball, donned an unrecognizable look for a while by wearing jersey number 45 instead of his signature number 23. Of course, Jordan eventually did go back to number 23, which had already been retired by the Chicago Bulls organization on November 4th, 1994. After he had retired from the NBA for the first time, to this day, Chicago sports fans cherish Jordan's return to the NBA because with his return came 3 more NBA championships.
Who doesn't want to be like Mike? Well, besides LeBron James, of course. His decision lasted a little bit longer than 2 words, didn't it? I think we can all agree, though, that his decision was bigger than anything that's ever happened in Nebraska. I'm just going to throw that one out there.
No. MJ is legendary, but so is our volleyball team. But there are just so many weapons to choose from for the Ramblers. Ariana Slater is here to sort out our favorite players of this week's Ramble.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's edition of The Ramble. I'm Ariana Slater. To my left, I have London Shannon. And to my right, I have Nick Amontangelo.
Hey.
Okay, so I'm going to ask each of them 2 questions. Whoever answers it best gets a point. And then at the end, if there's a tie, I will have a trivia question for a tiebreaker. So for my first question, Joe Smalzer is one of our MVPs for our volleyball team right now. But what other player on the team has some X factor? What do you think, London?
I think Cody Caldwell has the X factor. I think Cody's had a phenomenal year so far, and I think especially after Tuesday night's game against the Lewis Flyers, all eyes are going to be on Cody. The game started off kind of rocky, but it was Cody who carried the team on to the win, and he also scored a record-high 21 kills that night, too. So all eyes on Cody right now.
All right.
I mean, Cody's having a good game, a good season, don't get me wrong, but the guy who's really stepping it up is Thomas Jeschke. Not only is he on fire, he's only a sophomore, so we got 2 more years of this awesome talent, but he's out-hitting Joe Smalzer right now. He's got a .01 better kill per set ratio than Smalzer does. So he's even better than Smalzer, and Smalzer's on fire. Yeah.
Do you have anything to say to that?
I'm still going with Cody. I think Cody, I think he's going up right now. He's on his career high right now, and I think things are only going to get better from here. So I'm rooting for Cody.
You're right. I agree with that. Okay. London, you get the point.
But I got the stats to back it up.
Thank you.
He's only a sophomore. He'll have his time.
Fair enough.
All right. For my second question, March Madness is upon us. What underdog team should we be looking out for?
You know what? I know that they're a 1 seed. I know that they're undefeated. But for me, the answer is Wichita State, even so. Even though they're undefeated, they were slighted by the NCAA. They were put as the 3rd #1 seed. They should be the 1st. They're an undefeated team. They are just on fire. They got all the pieces, Fred Van Vliet, Cleanthony Early, to Cale Cotton. They're the team that's going to come in and make noise. Nobody is expecting them to do that. Everyone's saying, oh, they had an easy schedule. They're going to lose to, Louisville. They're going to lose in the Sweet 16, Elite 8. I think that they're going to win. And if they don't win, they're going to go to the Final Four again.
All right. What do you have to say about that?
I actually agree with what he's saying. I think Wichita is going to be the underdog as well. I know a lot of people are expecting them to be pretty good because they are undefeated and they just won the MVA title. But looking at their competition compared to the other competition, I think that they had it a little easier than the others, but I believe that they can still prove it to themselves. And now they're playing with the big dogs, so I think they have a chance too. So I'm going to go with Wichita.
No. It's a 1 seed.
North Dakota State.
All right, Nick, you knew a lot about that. I'm gonna have to give you that point.
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't work. That's good enough. Okay, so now we have the trivia tiebreaker.
All right.
Last month, Derek Jeter announced that this will be his last season.
Okay.
What year did he first sign to the Yankees? London?
1990.
Okay.
1996.
All right, Nick, you were a little bit closer. It's actually 1995.
Yes! He went over! I won! He went
All
over! It's closest. Not closest without going over. This isn't The Price is Right.
All right. The marker doesn't work, but our winner is Nick Amentangelo.
Woo!
Fair game.
If you agree or disagree, you can go vote for your own winner on our website. All right, and back to you at the desk.
I don't even know why they asked that second question in the Ramble. Everyone knows Nebraska is this year's Cinderella story.
As much as I would love to hear you talk more about the state of Nebraska, I really got to go. We got March Madness to watch.
All right. But before you go, why don't you tell the lovely audience where they can keep up with all of our latest coverage?
Fine. Don't forget to visit RamblerSportsLocker.com to stay up to date on all of our shows and vote for this week's Ramble winner. Can I go now?
So impatient. Thanks for joining us this week. I'm Madeline Kenny.
And I'm Jake Mazanke. Thanks for stopping by the locker, and don't forget to turn out the lights.